My name is Dr. Trotman. I'm a clinical psychologist. I teach at UE Cave Hill. I teach psychology, and I also work in a clinic at the QEH under the pediatric department called SCAN, which stands for Suspected Childhood Abuse and Neglect. That is a big question in psychology. We talk about nature and nurture, and we talk about the way that your biological makeup, your genetics, influence the way that you're created, the way that you see the world. We also talk about the way that people interacting with you influence how you see the world. So sometimes that is parents, sometimes that is your legal guardian, the people close to you, so your siblings, your family, your schoolmates, the society at large, the culture in which you live, your race, your ethnicity. All of those really influence who we are, and they create us as people. What are human beings? Okay, that is a big question. Human beings are products of their environment. We are products of our culture. We are products of our society. We're products of the things that happen to us as we grow. So everything that happens to us from the time that we are born, actually from before birth, the influences that occur in the womb, the things that happen to our parents influence how we are as we grow. So I think human beings are the sum of their experiences, plus more. In order to survive in society, we need to wear masks. I may have had a particularly bad day, or I may not have slept very well the night before I have to teach a class, or come in and speak to you guys, say I didn't sleep very well last night. You need to be able to project an image that is in line with what society demands and what your profession demands, what the situation demands. So a lot of how we function is with masks. In psychology, when you practice for a while, you'll notice that most people have issues. Most people have things that have happened to them. They've had their share of trauma. They've had their share of negative experiences. They've had their share of difficulties. But we still manage to function. And we wouldn't know, for example, what is going on in people's personal lives unless we've actually sat down and talked to them. So you don't know what your bus driver has gone through that day. You don't know what the person who is serving you lunch has gone through that day. You don't even really often know exactly what's happened with your partner or your child. So part of the way that we interact with other people and the way that we interact with the world at large is wearing a mask. I don't think that that's a deliberate deception. I think it is more to do with fitting in and existing in the world. In the Caribbean and in Barbados, we have a very small community. And we are therefore privy to other people's lives, and other people are privy to our lives. So instead of your name might be Denyce, and I might know you as so-and-so's sister, so-and-so's niece, so-and-so's aunt. I remembered you from school. So we have these interlapping and overlapping relationships, and they cause us to see things, I think, a bit more holistically than in other cultures. I think they also cause us, there is a toss-up with that small island or small community, the issues that come from that, because in sometimes you can be more understanding about people. If there is a tragedy, we all know about it. If there's a fire, everybody knows about it, and you'll see people pitching in to help each other. There's that community spirit. Even now, when we talk about days of yore where people were more community-minded, my grandmother always talks about how, the community was more involved back in the day, but even now in 2020, there is still that community spirit. People do look out for each other. They do ask each other how they're doing. You want to know about so-and-so's auntie, so-and-so's granny. I heard that so-and-so was sick in the hospital. So we do wear masks, but the masks that we wear aren't as absolute, I would say, as in a larger context, because I may be working with people that know me personally. I may be working with people that know me academically. I might be working with people that I know professionally. I might be in a party with people that I have done therapy with. And so while we do wear masks, I think our masks are very flexible and they are quite subtle as well. I think we do inherit our opinions and our philosophies from our parents, our grandparents, the society in which we live. I'm not entirely sure that we do so more than any other country. As I said earlier, we're all products of society and we're all products of circumstance. One of the things that I noticed when I lived in other countries, bigger countries, is that young people, when they finish school, when they're 18, they do tend to leave home. And so you do then get other heavier influences from school, from friends, and so perhaps you may see a bit more variety of thought. But I don't necessarily think that the influences we have are any stronger here than anywhere else. The prejudices, the various isms, racisms, sexisms, homophobia, xenophobias, are as present in other countries as they are here. I don't think that we do enough to combat those isms and those phobias, but I do think that they are as present here as they are in other countries. Absolutely. Human beings, we can't live in a vacuum. No man is an island. We are created by and we are shaped by the people around us. One of the things that we noticed this year during the COVID pandemic, when people had to be isolated, people had to stay at home and weren't able to do the socializing that they're normally doing, is that we saw a spike in anxiety. We saw a spike in depression and low mood. And I think that is because isolation is terrifying. People who live alone found it very difficult to go through those months of isolation, those months of the stay-at-home orders. So we do need each other. We feed off of each other. We feed off of each other's energy. Even people with different personality types, we all have different personality types. We all think differently. So some people need the energy of other people more, but no man is an island. We all need each other. We need each other to survive. What makes humans happy? That is the million-dollar question in psychology, isn't it? That's the million-dollar question in everything. We don't know what makes people happy. Happy is a transient emotional state. What we do have research on is what makes people unhappy, lack of connection, not fulfilling their goals. In psychology, we talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where at the very bottom of the hierarchy we have the physical needs. So we need shelter, we need food, we need water. And at the top of those needs we have self-actualization. So feeling as though we are living a life that is true to us, living a life that is true to our values, our morals, our ethics, living a life that is productive, that gives something back to society, that makes you feel good about yourself. And for every person, that's going to look different. So what my life looks like when I am feeling self-actualized is going to look very different to what somebody else's life looks like when they're feeling self-actualized. So happiness, I'm not sure. I can tell you a lot of about unhappiness. And I can tell you that there are things that we need to set the basis or the groundwork for us to be happy. We need to be free, we need to be equal, we need to not have stigmas against us, so our racisms, our sexisms, our homophobias, the xenophobias. those cause unhappiness. So in order to be happy, we need to be free of those. We need to have jobs that we enjoy. We need to be productive in some way. We need to get enough sleep. We need to have mental health that's well looked after. We need to have food. We need to have water. We need to have shelter. But happiness itself as a concept is quite elusive. Psychological unwellness or mental ill health, so mental health issues, and we all have mental health, and we all have mental health issues. Our mental health always varies, much in the same way that sometimes you can catch a cold, you can have mild depression or episodes of anxiety, you can have panic attacks, you can have some paranoia, just as normal everyday experiences of human life. What causes the sort of mental ill health that reduces our functioning in the world is a combination of genetics, so genetic factors, and also factors such as traumatic events, and again, not being self-actualized. So usually mental health is looked at as a very both and sort of field. We're thinking about both genetics and trauma. We're thinking about both events that happen in our day-to-day life or things that we are trying to do or not do, along with the way that we've been raised, the way that we are built, the way that we have been created in some way. Absolutely. Absolutely. Psychology is a very broad field, and we look at what we call generational trauma. So, for example, the effects of slavery are still present today in the Caribbean and in the US, especially, but all over the world. After the Holocaust, for example, large incidences of PTSD occurred. So we're looking at that national incidence of trauma after 9/11 in the US. Again, national incidences of trauma, anxiety, panic. It brought out both the best and the worst in people. And so in terms of generationally, the same way that we see variations in physical health, we will see variations in mental health. I think our actions are motivated by habit. We do most of what we do because that is how we have done it. And that is how we have learned to do it. We talk in particular patterns because that is how we've always talked. We act in particular ways because that's how we've always acted. I might take the same route every morning to get to work. Now, there might be a better route, but this is the route I take. And so my route is based in habit. If there's an accident, then I have to change my route, and perhaps maybe in that sense, when something happens and we have to change the way that we act or change the way that we behave, it could be from fear or it could be from love. But it really depends. That's a very, very specific to the individual phenomena, really. To be very honest, I don't like the term small island mentality. It's often used in a derogatory sense. And I think the mentality of Caribbean people is one of great strength, great resilience, great creativity. We're very kind, we're very loving, we're very warm as people. And so I don't really like the phrase small island mentality because it just seems very derogatory, the way we say, oh, you know, that's just small island mentality, or we talk about it in the same sense that we talk about crabs in a bucket. You know, that we're holding each other back. And I don't think we are. I think that there are larger social forces that do sometimes hold us back. I think being small, being a smaller country, therefore having less funding, having less protection, means that we sometimes don't have the opportunities that people in other countries have. But in my view, small island mentality is a good thing. It's a positive thing. It's about community. It's about warmth. It's about working together because the people around you are the people that you know. When anything happens to anyone in Barbados, good or bad, we're there for them. You know, Rihanna wins an award and the entire Barbados is like, oh, she's a Bajan, I'm so excited. Something bad happens to a Bajan and we are concerned because we identify with them, we see ourselves in them. I think that's a strength, not a weakness. That kindness, that warmth, the ability often that we have that I think would be great to spread to the rest of the world is our ability to separate home and work. We are very good at saying, no, I am not working on a Sunday. I'm not working on a weekend. I need to be able to be with my family. I need to be able to be with the people around me. I think that is part of our strength, is part of our resilience. I think the future is bright. I think that as we know more, as we get more research into psychology, into the mentality of Caribbean people, into the mentality of Bajans, we then know how to proceed. So we have this evidence-based practice, meaning that the way that we practice, the way that we do therapy is rooted in evidence. As it becomes easier to do research with the internet, you know, sending out virtual questionnaires, meeting people over Skype and Zoom, we can get more research. And so the research we get, the information we get is richer, therefore our therapy, our practice is more in depth, it's more effective, it's more efficient. I also think the future is bright because of the way that students are at the moment. When I teach my students, I am always amazed at how much they know, how much information they have at their fingertips. They're digital natives, and they're also so much more empathic because they have been exposed to so much more, to so many different types of people online. So you can play a video game with somebody in a completely different country. You can be on Twitter and talk to somebody whose culture is very, very different to yours. You can hear points of view from all sorts of different people. And because of that, I think the empathy that young people have for difference is just absolutely outstanding. So I think our future is bright. I think we are going towards a brighter future. I think that we have good leadership in the Caribbean, and I think that we are trying to pull together to move to a place where we are more comfortable, where we are more comfortable talking about mental health. The psychology department here at UWI is absolutely incredible. They do so much work with students. There is the psychological services here, which is also just fantastic. Students know that it exists, that there are people that they can talk to if they're struggling. And students also seem more willing to talk about being in a bad place. They're less ashamed of that. They're more like, well, at the moment, I'm just in a bad place, so I need some help with that. How do I get help? I think our future is bright. I think we have a lot going for us.